is, the way I understand it, will allow for possibly 5 outlets in the Mira, in this planning community. The proposal was presented to CPC, but has not yet been voted on by the council. And if the council decides to vote in favor, then potentially 5 outlets could be allocated for this area, which is disheartening considering that each council district was promised only 4. And due to redistricting now, they're proposing that it would be allowed that some have 5. As a resident, I firmly believe that regardless of redistricting, our roads, our neighborhoods, they remain the same. And we shop at the same schools and we take our kids, we shop at the same stores and we take our kids to the same schools, regardless of where boundary lines are drawn. And so I feel that in no way should redistricting change the number of marijuana outlets allowed in our city. 4 marijuana outlets per council district were chosen to protect youth from the normalization that comes from marijuana storefronts in neighborhoods. So this unfortunate situation would impact Mira Mesa, and I would just encourage you to take note and possibly discuss it as a planning group and consider raising your concern with the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more non-agenda public comment? If not, we'll move on. Were there any corrections to the meeting minutes that I sent out and have been posted for a while? Hearing none, just so we can also take attendance. Tiffany, can you call the roll and people answer whether they approve the minutes or not?
Sure, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. Kent Lee.
Present and approved.
Thank you. Andrew McCluskey. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. And do you approve the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Lilith Over.
I'm here and I approve.
Thank you. Ian? No. Craig Jackson?
Craig's out of town. He said he wouldn't be able to make it.
Okay. Ralph? Carolyn?
I approve.
Thank you. John LaBelle?
Approve.
Joe Frichtel?
Approve.
Thank you. Barry?
Approve.
Jeff, I'm assuming you approve.
Yes.
Thank you. Dorothy?
Approve.
Thank you. Keith?
Approve.
Julia Schreiber?
Approve.
Thank you. Harkey?
Approve.
Thank you. I approve. Marvin? Is Marvin
Mark had a
on?
medical problem he had to take care of.
Okay. Justin Mandelbaum?
Approve.
Thank you. Mike Linton? Mike here. I don't see him.
He is here.
I can't. Sorry, there's
Where are you?
Mike Linton.
Are you talking about Philip Linson?
No, I'm trying to unmute. Spacebar didn't work. Sorry about that. Approve. I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you. I see you there now. And Philip.
Yes, and yes.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Since we have a full agenda tonight, I'm going to defer my chairman's report until after new business. Gone to old business, community plan update. Alex.
Good evening, everyone. Alex Frost, City of San Diego Planning Department Project Manager for the Mira Mesa Community Plan Update. We met earlier today at 5:30 to go over high-level community input to the discussion draft. Had a very robust conversation, and we are planning to release the draft community plan and program environmental impact report first week of September, and we'll be incorporating a lot of the suggestions we've received so far. Thank you.
Any questions for Alex? All right, I think we probably fed you a lot of them an hour ago, so thank you very much. We'll go on to new business then. Ted Shaw, Pacific Center Boulevard.
Thank you very much. I'm going to make a few comments, but I'm going to have Kim Cantrud make the presentation this evening, if you don't mind.
Okay.
This is a lot line adjustment up on Pacific Center Boulevard. It's actually a pretty simple request, but we would appreciate your support as a group. Kim?
Yes, I'll share my screen. All right, thank you everyone for having us today. My name is Kim Cantrud. I'm from the Atlantis Group. You heard Ted Shaw speaking right
Could you
there.
speak up? I cannot hear.
Oh, can you hear me better now?
A little better.
Well, hello everyone. I'll speak a little louder. My name is Kim Cantrud. I'm from the Atlantis Group. Ted Shaw is here as well as Ryan Amos on behalf of Sterling Bay, the client here. We're seeking your approval for a lot line adjustment. The site is located in the western portion of the Mira Mesa Community Plan, located in the northwest corner of Pacific Center Boulevard and Pacific Center Court. The address of the site is 5910 Pacific Center Boulevard. The project site is designated prime industrial land in the city's general plan. The community plan designates the land as industrial and technology park as shown here in the draft community plan update. We note that we're using this image because it's a better image visually. The site is zoned industrial light 2-1, and we are consistent with the general plan, community plan, and the existing PID on site. The project site is the intention of the lot line adjustment is to remove the parcel from the coastal zone. Here is an old city San Diego zoning map that displays the approximate location of where the coastal overlay zone lies across the site. The site is outlined in red here. And this slide displays the side-by-side comparison of the existing and the proposed parcels. The site consists of 3 parcels combined for a total of 2.47 acres. The blue shaded area is the approximate location of the coastal zone. The intention of the lot line adjustment is to create a parcel outside of the coastal zone. The right image displays our intentions with the approximate locations of the proposed 3 parcels. This lot line adjustment does not affect the PID or the associated development rights. Thank you all very much. That concludes our presentation, and we respectfully request your support of our lot line adjustment and happy to answer any questions.
So all you're doing is, what you're showing in this picture is changing the boundary of these lots on the parking lot and that one building to the right?
Yes.
And why do you need to do that?
Well, from a processing standpoint, having the lot out of the coastal zone makes processing a little simpler. It does not remove the coastal zone from the PID itself, just the individual lot. And as you can tell, the lot only has a small corner of the property that's in the PID, or excuse me, the lot has a small portion in the coastal zone. The processing of a future development permit would be a lot simpler when we're just dealing with the PID versus the larger coastal issues that come with the coastal zone.
Okay, so are you doing something with this? You're developing this site?
It's anticipated that at some point in the future, yes, the existing building would come down and a new building would be erected, and that would be brought to the planning group at that time.
Okay, so you do a new building that didn't have this one little corner in the coastal zone then?
Correct.
Is it because it's so many more stories high?
No. It's simply to pull one of the lots out of the coastal zone.
Okay.
What are the advantages though?
It makes the a project on the future lot. It allows it to move forward more smoothly, fewer issues to be addressed.
if the
What
lot's in the coastal
issues?
zone, Dorothy, then it has to go to the coastal commission and they have a lot more hearings. So if they do this, then this one lot here at the bottom is out of the coastal zone and they can do that just going through the city without having to go through the coastal commission. Did I say that right?
Yes, and it's still governed by the overall PID.
All right. I don't see any problem with this. Anyone want to make a motion on this or anyone else have any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second it.
Who is speaking there? Who are the motion and second?
Keith was the second.
And Julia Schreiber made the motion.
Okay. Go ahead, call the roll on that, Tiffany.
Yep, no problem. Kent Lee,
Approve.
Andrew? Andrew? I think Andrew's here. I can't hear him. If Andrew? Okay, well, if you get this at some point, Andrew, Lilith?
No.
Okay. Ralph?
I had a question. I'm sorry, I couldn't raise my hand. I hit the wrong button, but if it's okay, could I ask a question now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering how this was going to impact the parking allocations for the different lots, or is parking not going to be affected?
That's a good question, and your answer is correct. It does not change the amount of parking or the shared access to that parking.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
If they were to redevelop it, then they go through a whole new process, but.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if the parking was associated with lots or just the buildings on the combination of lots, but.
It's associated with the overall planned industrial development, PID.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, my vote is yes.
Okay, thank you. John? Val?
Yes.
Thank you. Joe?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Dorothy?
Yes, approve.
Keith?
Yes.
Thank you. Philip?
Yes.
Okay. And Julia made the motion. Harkey?
Yes.
Okay. I vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Justin?
Yes.
Mike Linton?
Yes.
Okay, and then Andrew, were you able to provide your vote?
Well, no.
Okay, well, Andrew, you
Did I
can
get data?
message me if you,
Okay.
okay. All right, so we have one opposed and the rest approved.
Okay, good.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll go on to Khoa, Kenamar Court rezone.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's see how I can. Can everybody see that okay?
It says you started screen sharing, but I don't see anything on the screen yet.
Jeff, can you?
Here you go.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. My name is Khoa Nguyen. I'm here with Phil Rath and our project team on behalf of the applicant Aaron Magana to ask for your support of the 7720 Kenamar Court rezone project. As you can see here from the map, there's the Miramar Road, followed by Carroll Road, and we are just to the east at Kenamar Court. Just to kind of give you an idea of the location and the surrounding businesses, we have Kenamar Court here. You have Ballast Point, Athletic Brewing Company, L. Smith, Pure Project, Deptford Brewing along in Miramar. So the site is currently zoned IL-2-1. It's 2.69 acres. And there is an existing approved cannabis production facility on the site. Here is a better zoning map of the area. As you can see in the red, our location is zoned IL-2-1, and we are proposing to change it to IL-3-1. You can see in the vicinity, there's multiple lots that exist in the IL-3-1 as well. And so why are we proposing a rezone? So the currently existing IL-2-1 zone allows for an eating and drinking establishment, but the San Diego Municipal Code limits the size to 3,000 square feet. There is an exception. You can have a larger facility if it's a brewery, but unfortunately we don't qualify for that exception. What the applicant is proposing is to build an 8,000 square feet restaurant in the facility. And so the rezone would allow the property to be developed to its fullest potential. So under the current land development code, a restaurant can be located on the same premises as a cannabis production facility. Obviously, current local rules and state rules do not allow for any sort of consumption of cannabis products in the restaurant area. And since this is a process 5 rezone, it would require a planning commission recommendation and city council approval as well. As you can see here, this is the entire building, and it's quite large. The proposed 8,000 square feet restaurant would be located on the western side of the building, highlighted in purple there. And with that, we wanted to let you know that DSC staff has cleared all of the issues from the cycle comments, and environmental determination was exempt in this case. The proposed rezone is consistent with the general plan, community plan, and the municipal code. As a matter of fact, the project has been docketed for the September 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting with a staff recommendation of approval. So with that, our team is here to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
All right, you can unshare your screen. Just one question, Khoa. What kind of restaurant do you have in mind?
Aaron, Aaron is the applicant. He's here with us, and Aaron can maybe go into a little further details on that for you.
Hi, board members. Aaron Magana, project applicant. We don't have a particular menu set in place at the moment. My wife and I do fancy puesto. We did have a Spanish theme for the restaurant, but it has not been set in stone at this time.
Okay, other questions? So why this particular location? It's in the middle of an industrial area. As you pointed out, there are little microbreweries around the area, and they have food trucks and things that come by. But it's not, not an area where you typically see a public restaurant. So why this particular location?
Aaron, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, hi, board members. Aaron Magana again. Sorry, my video is not working. We chose this location. We wanted to be around the microbreweries. We like that scene. We find that area is the epicenter in San Diego for the microbrew culture. And so we specifically chose that area for the restaurant.
I see. Okay, other questions? So this is spot zoning. I mean, it's pulling one location out and giving it a different zoning than the surrounding areas. On the other hand, it's hard to see a restaurant really being incompatible at that site. So what do people want to do with this?
I'll make a motion to approve. This is Lil.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve. Is there any
Was that-
discussion?
Was that Dorothy? I'm sorry, who did the
Yes.
second?
Yes.
Thank you, Dorothy. Just want to make sure.
Is there any discussion on the motion? In that case, Tiffany, call the roll.
Okay. Kent Lee,
Approve.
Andrew,
Approve.
thank you. Lilith made the motion. Ralph,
Approve.
John,
Approve.
Joe,
Well, I approve. In most restaurants like this, they either make it or they fail in the first year. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens.
okay. Barry,
Approve.
Jeff,
Approve.
Dorothy made the second. Keith,
Approved. Yes.
okay. Philip. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Philip,
Sorry, approve.
thank you. Julia,
Approve.
thank you. Harky,
Approve.
I approve. Justin,
I definitely approve.
thank you. Mike,
I approve.
great. All approved.
All right, Khoa, you've got your approval. Aaron, thank you.
Thank you very
Got your
much.
approval.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, board members, very much. I appreciate the support.
When will your restaurant be open?
Oh, scary question. Probably about 20, 24 months out would be my guess. Maybe hopefully sooner, but you know, being realistic, these things take time.
Okay,
You can always invite us.
Yeah, I
When it's
promise
open.
that I will.
Grand opening for sure.
Grand
Goes
opening.
without saying.
It'd be better for the soft opening.
I appreciate it very much, board members. Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, we'll go on to Charter Wireless Communication Facility, Michael Hadland.
Hi, good evening, Chair. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for letting us present this to you tonight. I just shared the screen. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
All right. So today we're coming to you to be able to install a backup kind of facility on one of our existing communication facilities in the public right of way. To give a little bit of background, this is called the California Resiliency Plan. And the California Public Utilities Commission issued a decision that required all California facility-based wireline providers like Charter Communications to develop a comprehensive resiliency strategy. Sorry. All right. To prepare for catastrophic disasters and power outages. So wireline providers, we must implement 72-hour backup power requirements for all of our facilities that cover tier 2 and tier 3 high fire threat districts within 18 months of that original ruling. So these are really going to be beneficial in the event of any large scale power outages due to public safety, brownouts, rolling outages, earthquakes, fires. Customers will still have access to communication networks in order to call 911, 211, receive emergency alerts and notifications, and access critical information. I'll go ahead and switch it over to our location map. This facility is going to be placed at 8071 Valdosta Avenue. This is currently the existing site that it will be sitting on. The cabinet specifications are 52 by 26 with a depth of 20.
We're not, are you showing us a map or anything? We're not seeing anything except slide 3 of your presentation.
Let me try. I'm sorry about that.
Hi, Michael. This is Juan. I have the map up. If you want, I can share the screen really quick.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Juan, who's working on the engineering on this project. Thank you, Juan.
No problem. Can everybody see my screen?
No.
Yes.
Now, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So the location of the cabinet needs to be placed next to these existing cabinets. These are the power supplies here. So our proposal is to place a new cabinet. Actually, let me shift over this. This is that existing cabinet that you just saw. The proposed cabinet will be placed about 8 feet to the left of the existing cabinet, again, in city right away. The cabinet houses the battery backup system needed for that 72-hour backup. It doesn't emit any noise. It's all, it's only just batteries in there. It doesn't have a fan or anything. Batteries are just sitting in there for when, in case of an emergency, then the backup system will kick on and keep the charter system going. That's pretty much it. Everything else here, what I have here is the plans that we submitted to for approval. So it's about, installation of the conduit, open trench, the cabinet, the system that's going to be in there. Again, no fans, no noise. And the location, like I mentioned, would be next to this existing cabinet. I think that's it. Michael, I'm not sure if you have anything.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Juan. Yeah, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you guys may have. But we're really hoping for support on this project to make sure that we fall in line with the mandate from the California Public Utilities Commission.
So this is an electrical box. It's the title of it was wireless communication facility, but it's not really that, right? It's a
that is correct. It just falls underneath the categories that we submitted to the planning department with the city.
Okay, I've got a couple of hands up. Keith.
Hey, just real quick, a lot of times there's different options for these types of utilities. Is there an actual underground option?
Unfortunately, no, there's not an underground option for this project here.
100%.
100%, yes.
All right, Joe, this is your street, right?
Yeah, why is there not an underground option on this? All it is batteries, right?
It actually, I've heard this would be a fire hazard if this was to be placed underground and could cause more issues. These facilities need to be able to be accessed by our firm as quickly as possible in case of any problems like that.
Okay, what was the name of your firm?
I'm Charter Communications Spectrum.
Charter.
Yes.
Because this is going to impose on the resident that lives there. I mean, right now he's got that part of his property fenced off, but this will go on the other people's property right next to that. And if it would be underground, it would make a big difference to what they do in their house and where they look. So I really want to know why this can't go underground.
We have been told that just from our engineers that causes a safety issue. Other companies have looked at this same exact request, and nobody's currently putting these underground.
Can you get a clarification on that for us and come back?
I could. I'll get that information for you. I don't have that exact on top of the hand, but I do want to stress the importance of the timelines that we do have here. As these do need to be completed within 18 months. And we've been working with the city to make sure that we do this in a timely manner.
What about replacing the other one or putting it right next to it? It would be less intrusive if you did that, especially with the fence already there.
Juan, did you know what the reason was? I think we had to put a concrete slab underneath and it would not fit in the dimensions that were going in between there.
That is correct. It doesn't fit. Like in this area, it won't fit. Our next best option was where we proposed it now.
Do you need to keep this existing one, or could you replace that?
Yeah, no, we need to keep the existing one. The existing one is actually a electrical meter. So that's the actual power supply, and it's an actual electric meter in there. So then the backup batteries will connect to this existing electrical meter.
Okay, Lil, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to tag on what you guys were both saying, it looks like from the one picture where I saw it in red that it was on the homeowners to the left's property. I mean, have you reached out to this homeowner? I'm sure do you have to get their permission? Because if it was me, I would not be happy about that. I don't know, can you go to the right, just right of that one electrical box maybe, rather than to the left, because the fence is already there. Maybe you could just go a little to the right. I don't know if it won't fit in between.
Yeah, I don't think, let me review. I mean, that may be an option, but then in that case, we will have to move that fence. The actual right-of-way is here. So it is actually outside of the property owner's actual property. This is within right-of-way.
Would you?
Well, then you could just move that little fence over enough to fit that other one on the other side, so it wouldn't be right in front of that other neighbor's house. They'd be all lined up there neatly.
Yeah,
Just
putting it
as
on the other side
option.
would make a lot difference to everybody involved in this, because that guy already has a fence there and you can't see the box currently there. But putting the new one on this other property, it's kind of obscene to do that. So if you could move that on the other side, that would be, it wouldn't bother anybody, make everything a lot better.
Right. What we would need to do is move that fence. That homeowner's fence. Even though it is encroaching into the city right away, his fence really shouldn't be in there. We would have to move it.
That doesn't sound like look like too big.
I don't think that would bother him at all. He's already moved it around that box plus the cable box that's there.
I agree too.
Julia?
I wanted to bring up that as far as putting it underground, any kind of underground storage pit would be prone to flooding, which and water and electricity do not mix, so it's not a safe option.
Julia, this is the highest point in Mira Mesa where I live.
Yes, but it doesn't mean with a lot of rain coming down that it cannot flood. Just throwing it out there.
Andrew?
Yes, and actually, I think Lil asked the question, which I didn't hear an answer to. Has the property owner in front where this is being proposed been informed and asked the question? Yes or no?
Well, they don't really need to notify the property owner because it's in the city right away.
I understand that.
That is
I understand that. However, has the property owner been asked? Have they been notified?
I'm sure he got a notice. And the thing is, they're like an elderly Chinese couple, and they speak very little English.
So Joe, in due respect, I'm asking Juan.
Right. We have tried to make contact. They have left a notice, but we haven't gotten a call back. And yeah, like it was mentioned, it is in city right away, so it's actually outside of their property.
And we've notified 45 addresses around this area as well.
My recommendation is you put it on the other side. If that's possible, pour a pad, move the fence, 4 feet or whatever you need to do. And this way wouldn't affect the homeowner. It's in line with the other ones and it would solve the problem. That's my recommendation.
Wouldn't moving the fence that another property owner, he's using that area right now as his or hers, wouldn't that create an issue as well?
He's growing some vegetables right there. It's basically, about 20 feet of his property that's between the street and his fence on his property. Right on the other side of the fence is his swimming pool. So he really doesn't do anything with that area other than, grow some vegetables and stuff.
Got it. We did see that, and we thought it would be a little bit more impact. We thought it would be a little more impact on the property owner. So we opted to move it at the, what we're proposing now.
He is actually utilizing the space at this moment.
Well, either way, it falls under the right of way. So I think you can see from this picture right here how imposing that would be on this other property as opposed to moving this fence over one little section and putting it right there.
Okay, so
I agree.
So Julia, your hand's still up. Is it up again or?
No, I just wanted to say that with this picture provided, I agree moving the fence would be better.
All right, so can we get a motion then that if that's what people want to do, to recommend that they put the new facility on the other side of the existing facility and relocate the neighbor's fence?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. This is Lil.
Is there any discussion? Okay, then, yes, Tiffany, call the roll again.
Hey, Jeff, just real quick, if I could, before on the discussion basis, having been on the community pride and landscape committees before, a lot of these utility area easements don't get maintained. And looking at this picture that's on the share view, you can see where the owners fenced around it and kind of, even on the curb line, abandoned it. Would it be better to just maybe cement that pad in so that it's not a continual maintenance obligation or eyesore to the community? Joe, I know you live on that street. There's other utility access points, when the city was built, or the community was built, a lot of them were put underground. They did brick in and cement in the utility access points.
Could I share my screen real quick? Because that's an older photo. The existing site, it is all dirt currently.
Currently he's growing some vegetables there.
Okay.
He did say they were going to put a cement pad down and then put the thing on top of it.
Yeah.
This
It
is
was
a current
too
photo.
bad you can't put it just immediately to the left there. That would be much better, but.
Yeah, and it's not, the comments also not just homeowner specific. It says it goes beyond that, a homeowner to a future homeowner, because again, the obligation, even though it's a right of way, generally it's the homeowner maintains it, but in the sense, the city will come in and do something if you ask them. But again, it transcends the homeowner as far as an improvement or a change in the community.
So I'm just going to say, I'm going to be voting against this because to me, insufficient effort was made to contact the actual property owner in front there. I understand it's a right of way, but I just believe that, sending or making a phone call or knocking on doors, sending me out, until you actually meet with the person and ask them a question and get an answer, to me, that's insufficient to go to full steam ahead with the project. I understand it's in right away. Anyway, I'm going to vote no.
Okay, let me give you a little more information. The people that own the house, they've actually subdivided the house into two sections. The homeowner lives in the back with his wife. They are both in there older years. The front part of the house is now living with a gentleman, his wife, and their daughter. She's about 7 or 8 years old, and they do gardening out in the front. So that's why I think this thing would be terrible to put in there to the right, where it was proposed, because it's right where their daughter does all this little gardening stuff, so.
I mean, the motion doesn't preclude that they should notify the neighbors either. I mean, I'm sure Joe would accept that as a friendly amendment. Okay, Ralph, you have your hand up?
Yes, I just had a question. The motion on the table is to make a recommendation that that box be moved to the right of the existing. Is that correct? Or is this
Yes, that's
motion
correct.
to approve and recommend moving it? Just to be clear.
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of implies that.
Approval on condition of right side?
Yes.
Okay, so that makes it more clear. So
Okay,
it's
good.
to approve and with the recommendation of moving it to the right. But it's
Excuse me,
not requiring it to move to the right. That's why I'm confused.
Could you clarify that again? I'm having a little sound issue. What was the motion?
The motion, as stated there, is to approve the project with a recommendation that it be moved to the right of the existing electric box.
If anybody drives down the street and looks at that, they will understand how much common sense it makes to move it to the right instead of where it's proposed.
Sorry, can I ask a question? When you say move it to the right, is that going to be on someone's property then?
Well, of course, no matter where they put it, it's going to be on somebody's property. It's on the right of way.
Yeah.
Right, but it's going to be someone's actual property, not in the right of way.
But
No, either side is in the right of way.
It'll still be the right of way.
Oh, either section is the right of way. Okay.
right, the proposal though is it will have lesser impact moving it to the right because
Okay, it's
the
still in the right of way
there,
though.
the gentleman there doesn't really do anything with that property other than grow some vegetables.
Right. It wasn't clear to me that it was in the right of way, but I understand it is.
Since this is a recommendation, does that mean that they need to do this? Or because I don't want it on the left. So I'm not sure if they decide they don't want to do it, can they just go ahead and put it back on the left? Because we're just recommending it.
I mean, we could make it stronger and make that a condition.
I would rather make it a condition personally.
So Joe, is your motion?
All right, well, let me redo the motion to make it a condition of approval that it be moved to the right.
Okay, who was the second on that?
Me,
Lil was the,
So I
Yeah.
should accept that then. Okay, so with that, Tiffany, go ahead and call the roll.
yes, of course. Kent? Kent, please.
Approve.
Okay. Andrew?
No.
Okay. Lilith made the second. Ralph?
Yes, approve.
John?
No.
Joe made the motion. Barry?
Approve.
Jeff?
Approve.
Dorothy?
Approve.
Keith?
Approve.
Philip? Julia?
Approve.
Harkey?
Approve.
I approve. Justin?
I'm gonna abstain.
You're gonna abstain?
Yeah.
Okay. And Mike?
Approved.
Okay. So we have 2 opposed, 1 abstained, and the rest approved.
All right, so you have your approval. we would appreciate it if you could move that to the right, because the people who, like Joe, who actually live on the street, you know, are more aware of what that does than you guys would be. That's one reason we have the planning group, is so people who know more can have a say. So
And we appreciate the feedback and the approval. Thank you guys so much.
thank you. All right, we'll go on to the T-Mobile cell site at the Residence Inn.
Good evening, board members. My name's Delilah. I'm here with MD7 on behalf of T-Mobile this evening. Let me get my screen up for you here. Okay, so we are proposing a relocation of a cell site, and we are proposing to create a mono-eucalyptus at the Residence Inn. So we currently have a cell site here at 5915 Mira Mesa Boulevard. The lease has expired on this property. And so T-Mobile has started a new lease here with the Residence Inn, and we are requesting to build a mono-eucalyptus. The proposed site will be here in the northeast corner. We're proposing a 60-foot tall mono-eucalyptus that will house 6 antennas and a small equipment enclosure fenced by an 8-foot gate. The reason we are here today is because we are proposing to encroach into the side setback. That's 10 feet, and the equipment enclosure that we are proposing does encroach into the setback. And here's a picture of that here. We've designed and placed the tree to be in the back corner lot of the Residence Inn. It's out of view for the most part. Here's a view from the street. We've placed it around other eucalyptus trees and other foliage so that it will blend with the existing environment. And then here's just another view. Here's a coverage map. It's just showing that it's a high traffic area, industrial area. And then here's showing the coverage gap. So without the site, we've got a little bit more of a gap here in the coverage, as you can see. And with the site, the proposed site, it's a lot more green, a lot less red and yellow. And then the site is being constructed as a potential co-location. So it could house other carriers as well. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions or concerns.
Okay, any questions? Joe?
Yeah, is anything going to be donated to the Mira Mesa community on this? Or is just the money going to go downtown?
I'm sorry, the money?
Yes, usually when you put in a cell tower, there's a fee that is paid to the city. And then there's a yearly stipend that goes with that. But since this is occurring in Mira Mesa, is there any possibility of getting half of the money that goes to the city to be spent in Mira Mesa instead?
Oh, I honestly am not sure. I haven't heard of that before.
It's all money. It's just a matter of dollars and cents.
Yeah, I'm not sure they control that, Joe.
I'm not sure, yeah, who would make that decision, if that would be the city. I know we pay for the permit and the review process, but I don't know that we give the city any additional money. The lease would be with the Residence Inn, not with the city.
All right, and you know, the problem with the tree, though, it's a eucalyptus, which we really don't like in Mira Mesa, but good luck with this.
Question. What did you say you were encroaching on?
The side setback, so the property line here, it should be 10 feet between the property line and any kind of new structure. And so we originally were going to try to place it in the parking lot, but the residents in could not afford to lose any spaces and they would be out of code. And so this is, the city asked us, to place it here in this corner, out of sight kind of, and this is the best we could come up with, but it does encroach, which is what kicked us into a variance. Normally this would be a straight approval with the city, but because we are encroaching here is the reason that we need the community's input.
Okay, so a couple hands. Keith? Keith, you have your hand up?
I do. Sorry about that. Hey, I Joe triggered a memory. I thought in our community plan that we had taken out eucalyptus trees and all projects were being approved more with the pine or other foliage. But I am going back a couple decades, so.
No, you're right. There has been an effort to remove the eucalyptus because they're bad for a lot of reasons. So this one's a phony eucalyptus, so it doesn't have the problems that a real one would. But is there a reason you chose that over other?
Yes, we could do a pine, but the city asked that we match the existing landscape. And so they felt a pine was out of place. In fact, we had submitted a previous design and they felt that it was top heavy and looked a little bit out of place. This still looks a little piney, but they asked that we mimic the existing eucalyptus here. And we did a landscaping plan and it is the majority eucalyptus, so.
Okay.
I think the idea is that we were phasing out and going away from eucalyptus. So this basically creates a permanent statue in perpetuity to eucalyptus. So, I mean, it sounds like a trivial thing to bring up, but that is what this committee is about.
But at least you don't have to water it.
Yeah, no, it won't burn and the branches won't break and kill people. So,
John?
I was just wondering, you said you're encroaching on the property line. Is that the property line with the company next door?
No, we're encroaching in the setback. So the code with the city, we're on the residence in parcel. You're not allowed to build within 10 feet of the property line. So this is the property line back here. This is residence in parcel, but within 10 feet, you're not supposed to have any new structures or any buildings or any structures at all. And this equipment enclosure is within that 10 feet. It encroaches within the 10 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a setback rule, but it's the setback from the property line. So it is still on the parcel for the residents in.
All right, so we need to decide what to do with this. I'm don't particularly like the eucalyptus either, although I have to say it looks, it looks good and it doesn't really look that much like eucalyptus to me, but I would say we either approve it or say that we something that looks less eucalyptus-like, but to me, that's not all that eucalyptus-like to begin with, so.
Yeah, it's a little piney. It's just what the manufacturer calls this model. It does look more like pine, to be honest with us, but this is what they're calling the eucalyptus.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion
This
from
is
Andrew.
Lil, I second.
I'm sorry, was that Andrew that made the motion, just to
Yes.
confirm?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and Lil, you.
Lilith, yeah.
Yeah,
I
thank
second.
you. Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? In that case, would you call the roll again, please, Tiffany?
Yes, absolutely. Kent?
I approve.
Thank you. We've got Andrew and Lil did the motions. Ralph?
Approve.
John?
No.
Opposed? Okay. Joe?
Approve.
Barry?
Approve.
Thank you. Jeff?
Approve.
Dorothy?
Approve.
Keith?
no,
Okay. Philip?
Approve.
Julia?
Approve.
Thank you. Harky?
Approve.
I approve. Justin?
Approve.
And Mike?
Approved.
Great. We have 14 approvals and 2 opposed.
Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming. Okay, so now we have the Gold Coast Reconstruction update. So hopefully we get to find out when we will finally get that awful road ground up and rebuilt. So, Mr. Chan?
Well, good evening, Jeff. My name is Luis Shah. I'm going to go ahead and kick off the presentation tonight. My name, again, Luis Shah, Deputy Director for Engineering Capital Projects. So tonight we have Masane Ashrasade, who's the Senior Engineer for the project, as well as Chun Chan, who's the Project Manager. They're going to give you an update and status of the scope of the AC Roadway Reconstruction Project 1801, which primarily is Gold Coast and Parkdale. But prior to doing so, I'm honored to reintroduce Councilmember Kate, who's joined us tonight and has been a champion for this project since its inception. So I'd like to turn over now the virtual mic to the council member before we get into the project update. So council member, pass it on to you now.
Thank you, Luis, and thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the board for having this item here tonight. As I have said repeatedly over the past 3 to 4 years since we embarked on this project and received the first round of funding under the former administration, do some engineer work and receiving the rest of the funds thanks to Mayor Gloria in last year's budget cycle to put in the remaining $13 million to get this project the funding that needed to completion. We had promised that we would be open and transparent in discussion with the impacts of this project on the residents and the surrounding communities and Mira Mesa as a whole because of the length of time of this project and the conflicts that may arise from it. So part and parcel with that, we wanted to ensure that we came out as soon as we had as much information as possible to present to you all regarding the status of this project, the timeline, and all the work to be done on this. It is very, very complex. So, excuse me, I want to thank Luis and the team and the staff for their diligent work on this. They are coordinating with a number of other utilities in conjunction with this project. And so I want to thank those individuals as well too for being here and able to answer any questions that you may have, and really encourage the board to ask as many questions as possible. And in keeping with the transparency aspect of this, we will continue to work with the surrounding residents in this community to ensure that they have all the information at their fingertips to have this project go as smoothly as can be done over the next year or so as this project commences. So again, thank you to all of you as well too for your diligence and advocacy to help get the funding to it. Again, this has been a priority of our office for a long time, so I'm glad to see that we're here to get started and hopefully get this show on the road as soon as possible. So with that, Luis, thanks so much, and I'll turn it back over to staff for their presentation.
Thank you so much, council member. So we're going to have Mastane kick off the presentation for you. After the presentation, we'll be here to answer your questions. And we also have folks from SDG&E as well, since they will be participating in the relocation of their utilities along Gold Coast and Parkdale. So Mastane, hand it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Luis, and thank you, Councilmember Kate, for the introduction and all the support on the project, the community planning group for having us back here again. We were here back last November. We provided a presentation about the project, the scope, and the operation, and we're very excited to be back here today with the new update and the actual schedule and the next steps. So for those of you that did not attend or don't know the scope of this project, the project location is on Gold Coast Drive from Thanksgiving Lane to Camino Ruiz. It's about 1.17 mile on that street, and also on Parkdale Avenue from Mira Mesa to Northrop Drive about half a mile. The scope of the project, the project is proposing to reconstruct the existing AC pavement using the full depth reclamation method, which is basically consists of polarizing and mixing the existing AC pavement and the base and the sub-base material with cement and basically recycling in place, which is less impact to the environment. The project also includes installation of concrete bus pads, drainage improvements, accessible improvements such as curb ramps, and installed green infrastructure elements. As Luis mentioned, throughout the coordination on this project and throughout the citywide plan check, it was determined that there's multiple underground utilities that needs to be relocated prior to our project construction can begin. So the city has been coordinating very closely with SDG&E Spectrum Charter Communication and AT&T regarding the necessary relocations. And some of the relocation work has already started by SDG&E on Parkdale. They started mid-July, and the rest of the relocation is scheduled to start in the upcoming days and months, but by the private agencies. So as you see on the screen for the schedule, as I mentioned, for SDG&E relocation on Parkdale, they already started in mid-July. And Gold Coast, they are anticipating to begin very shortly, begin their relocation work along Gold Coast. And AT&T is anticipating to start mid-September, and Charter Spectrum Communication will right after early October for the actual relocation of the underground utilities. As far as the Street Reconstruction Group 1801, our CIP project, the project has been advertised for the construction phase, and we anticipate to open bids on end of August, I believe August 29th. So as soon as the bids are received, then we would have to evaluate the bids. Usually the bid evaluation takes about 3 or 4 weeks for the apparent lowest bidder to be determined. And once we have that information, we will start the award process. So technically, it's about 2 or 3 months process, and we anticipate it to begin work and construction in fall 2022. And now I will
Excuse me, could you speak a little more slowly and clearly? I'm having some trouble.
Sure. I can repeat the schedule for the CIP project if you like.
No, just go forward, but
Okay.
speak a little more slowly and clearly, please.
Sure. Actually, the next slides will be presented by Chun. Chun, if you could please go slower and louder, I would appreciate that.
Sure. Thank you, Mastane.
Thank you.
So moving on, I'm going to start talking about the anticipated construction phase. We're going to start with basically 2 main phases. The first phase will be working on the water highline. The utility relocation will be happening at the same time. We're going to do some surface work, concrete work mainly, doing the curb ramps, some of the sidewalk repairs. We're going to be also installing the storm drains, the inlets, and also our green infrastructure. And then moving on, once all the surface work is done, we're going to do the roadway work, which is where the main work comes in to repair the road with the full depth reclamation. We're going to also be installing the bus stop pads, replacing some of the cracked cross gutter. And then we're going to come back with wrapping it up with the paving and the striping. So this is a map that we shared last time in the November presentation. The anticipated construction is going to start from Gold Coast, from at Thanksgiving Lane, and we're going to move towards the west. So as you can see here, phase B1 is where we're going to be starting. The yellow boundary is where we anticipate some of the water highlining is going to cover the street to make sure that we don't have any impacts to the water if anything happens during our construction. So we're going to move from Thanksgiving all the way to Camino Ruiz for the Gold Coast Drive. Some of the schools in the vicinity has been coordinated with, so we're going to have some work time restriction to not affect any drop-off timing. Same thing with Parkdale. We're going to start from the top, from the north side. We're going to move from Mira Mesa all the way down to Northrop. And again, the schools here in particular, the school has already been paved and the roadways are holding up, so will not be impacting that school at all. So with that kind of said, we are open for any question.
Can you be a little more specific on the timetable?
Sure. Right now, we don't have a contractor on board yet, so we cannot be very specific with when the construction is going to start exactly. But once we do, we can provide that information again. We also anticipate to have a community liaison that's going to be going door to door before the construction start to make sure we notify all the residents. Right now, the anticipated schedule will be in the fall. So we are shooting for maybe around November timeline. But again, that's until we have a contractor on board. In particularly, each phase will probably take about a week to 2 weeks for the paving to work. So we would be going on a routine traffic control, going down the road, but the road during construction will still be drivable.
I'd also like to add to, sorry, Marcelo.
No, go ahead.
To just response that in addition, we do a bit more outreach before we get into the construction stage. In approximately 2 weeks, we're going to be hosting a workshop where we're going to be inviting the residents who live within a 300-foot radius from the alignment of our project to join a virtual meeting for us to go deeper into details about the phasing of the project, what should they expect on each phase, their traffic control, and we'll get into more of the details of how the project is going to be rolled out while in construction.
But just to clarify, Louise, Michaela from the mayor's office, the community should see some activity now due to the relocation work or from SDG&E, AT&T, correct?
That is correct. Actually, in Parkdale, they've already started a relocation work, and SDG&E is scheduled to begin their relocation work this week along Gold Coast. So you will be seeing now construction activity related to the project beginning this week.
So, just one question on Parkdale. Yeah, they are indeed working there, and they're really mucking up the road. You know, they're putting these giant metal plates with you know, they look like some sort of monster's claw that goes down into the pavement, which doesn't matter on those areas that you're going to be redeveloping, but they're also doing it on this one section in front of Sauk that you know, that you're not going to be doing. Will that section be just left however they leave it, or are you going to you know, make sure that section ends up being all right after you're done too?
Sure. So the permits that they pulled for the work on Parkdale for a longer alignment, for those areas that are not part of our project, they're governed by our standard drawings and requirements for a full depth asphalt trench cap. And basically you're by the time the project is complete, it's going to be back to a smooth service on the road. They just have to go through the different stages of construction. They're going to have a temporary trench cap, which going to have a coal mix material that is going to be maintained. But once all the work is complete, they do come back with that final cap. And I believe we have SDG&E here with us tonight if they'd like to add to that response.
SDG&E.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Jeffrey. My name is Tony Cruz. I'm a public affairs manager covering City of San Diego matters for SDG&E. With us, we also have Dennis Gershoffer, who's one of the project managers who's been involved with this project. So let me see if Dennis. Or Jeffrey, if you can unmute the, oh, he's unmuted now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Dennis. We have, I missed the question or the comment you'd like me to make about.
Would you mind repeating the question, please?
I believe that the question on the table was for those areas along Parkdale that are not part of our roadway reconstruction project, what is going to be the final trench restoration once the work is complete?
I'm going to have to look into that and get back with you. I'm not familiar with what the final restoration would be. If we wreck it, though, we're going to make it acceptable to the city. I can promise you that.
Yeah, that was the one section of any part of this road that was still okay, and now you really kind of mucked it up with work that's going on there. So if you would repair it with some care, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, Jeffrey, that's our standard practice. So,
That's our
so
plan.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Keith, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you. Yeah, real quick. Two things, but first off, when you go back to the main project there, I was just didn't see any type of coordination with fire and safety as the call times could be increased because of the construction and the way it's left. So I take that that's part of the plan that'll be out there. And the second one is more on a fiscal basis. In the past, we've seen the handicap ramps were part of CDBG money that was spread out around the city and maybe not always in an equitable fashion. I don't know. I thought that, I mean, that started years ago. So I saw that there were handicap ramp access points in the plan, the proposed plan there. I would take it that the rest of the community is still benefiting from CDBG money. That's more for the city council member. And as far as that, and then the surface street slurry overlay plan. Years ago, we tried to implement a systematic plan where different parts of Mira Mesa were reslurried, on every 5 to 10 year, 20-year basis. I don't know if that plan's been overlaid onto this too, and hopefully it hasn't delayed any proposed street resurfacing, not resurfacing, but slurry sealing that would go in and coordinate with this effort there. Is there any integration of those city services into this plan?
So I'll take a couple of those points. So on the funding aspect of the project, all the funding has been allocated already. It was through the budget process 2 years ago, in which the funding has already been allocated for this. So there are no CDBG funds or other funds associated with this project. They have all the funds. Also, to that respect, there's been some claims that funding for this project has been diverted to other things. That is absolutely not the case. No funds have been diverted for this. This project is moving forward, as you can tell. The funding is being allocated for this project. In terms of the slurry seal, following completion of this project, there would be obviously the upkeep and maintenance of this street as others through it. I'm not certain what you mean by the slurry overlay, because this project is neither of these things. It's a full street reconstruction, which is a different designation with a type of work done on the street. So there is no slurry or overlay associated with this project. It's a full reconstruction.
Yeah, what I was referring to is that if you look at Mira Mesa as a whole, it's basically gridded out into sections, and then every other year or so, a different section was supposed to be slurry sealed, so as not to cause too much disruption to the community. But these roads get older, they need to be surface coated. And so I didn't know how the plan would lay over into what you're doing here, because I haven't seen the latest update of it when I left it 20 years ago.
Keith,
So
this is Chun. Maybe I can take a crack at your
I'm really
question.
kind of full, so something like what you eat.
I can take a crack at that question. So what you're mentioning is the city's regular maintenance for the roadways, which goes down to the slurry and the overlay programs done by our street division. For this particular project, it's a different category. It's a full depth reclamation, which includes rebuilding the base of the road. Obviously, if this road is built or repaired after, it will fall back into the regular maintenance program. And the program itself runs independently from the CIP project here.
Let me follow up on that just a little. It's a little off topic of Gold Coast, but what's been happening is the city comes in and slurry seals a lot of the streets that are in fairly good shape. But once they deteriorate to the point where they say, well, slurry sealing isn't good enough, they go on to another list that never seems to get any attention. So we've got quite a few streets like Antrim and Point Royale that are really in terrible shape. They're not on the list to be getting slurry sealed, but they don't seem to be on any other
What do you
list
want to
either.
say?
Are the gas lines going to be retested?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
The question was, within the community, there are certain streets that get slurry sealed, which tend to be streets that are in reasonably good shape anyway. But then there are other streets that are in very bad shape, and because they've been deemed in too poor a shape to slurry seal, they never get any attention at all. I was just wondering if there's any way to get those streets on a list to be repaired.
So when you see using slurry seal on your streets, you're correct. They're the ones, slurry seal is being used on streets that are in better condition, because what it does is it rejuvenates the oils in the asphalt to keep it flexible and pliable. Once the oils start to dry out, that's when it starts to become brittle, and slurry seal no longer has the effect that it's intended to. And it goes to the next category, which would be an overlay. So the slurry seal is one program that the transportation department has. The overlay is another program. But you can go on San Diego Streets.gov, which outlines the different OCI. The OCI is the index that's assigned to each road segment that gives an indication of how well it's performing. And based on that, then different projects are assigned to it in the future for different type of maintenance programs. So for the roads that you are interested, I recommend that you go to that website and use that as a reference to see if there's a current program maintenance on that particular roadway, what's the OCI, if there's any projected projects.
I'll take a step further as well, Jeff, is that we're also in the process of updating our condition assessment for our streets. This is a project, something we funded as a council, and I know that's currently in the process as well too.
Let me just state here what I saw when I lived in Mira Mesa, and I'm the business representative now that works there, but like a major project like this would come through, and then it's used as an excuse to delay those other projects, which are the regular maintenance ones in the street overlays that Jeff was referring to. So what I'm trying to overtly say is the elephant in the corner here is that this is great that this project's moving through and it's been funded, but I certainly hope it doesn't mean that we won't see any maintenance in Mira Mesa for another 20 years.
No. And I'll stop you right there. That is absolutely not the case.
Yeah. So then all I was asking is, where's the integrated plan that shows that that's been overtly addressed, not just trust us, because trust us for years driving on those roads. You know, those bad roads drive people's cost of living up because they've got to do their car repairs.
So part of the process to allocate funding to streets is using what Luis mentioned was our overall condition assessment of all the streets. So it's done on a data-driven basis so that we can fund adequately various projects that need to have either a slurry or an overlay. And based off of past measures, the prioritization of streets from this mayor and this council, we are funding those projects, but we need the data to do that, which is why the council put in the funding for the assessment so that we can understand where we're at as a community for Mira Mesa and get those dollars to those projects.
So Chris, the streets that need slurry sealings do seem to be getting taken care of on a very regular basis, but the ones that need overlays seem to be completely forgotten. Do you know?
So one good way of thinking of the different levels is using a car reference. So slurry seal is like getting an oil change. You always need an oil change, let's say every how many miles, twice a year, to keep up the maintenance of the car, right? So that's usually where you see the OCI level is about 70, sometimes 65 or greater. You don't want to say you don't want slurry because then those streets won't keep up the maintenance they need. If you're not changing your oil, then you'll need a new engine, right? Sooner. So a new engine is like an overlay. You get about 2 layers of concrete removed, put back in. That has to go out to contractors, is more expensive. That's why you don't see overlay as often. as slurry because it's cheaper and it's more of the maintenance. But with the infrastructure funding, hopefully we can continue to get from the state, from the federal government. You know, we see the OCI levels. Councilmember Kate has been an advocate. That's why you see the most road repair in D6 with the sexy streets. But
say that.
but with Gold Coast and Parkdale, which is very, very rare, of the complete reconstruction, you never want any streets to get to that level because it's so costly. But you will see kind of overall a lot of the Mayor Sexy Streets initiative citywide of the overlay getting done. And if we continue to get those investments, then you'll continue to see that citywide. But the OCI level is important. Just want to make sure the group doesn't advocate that, you know, you want to see more overlay than slurry. You still need slurry to keep the streets maintained. And it's easier to do the slurry. So when Gold Coast and Parkdale is done, it'll be on transportation's regular routine for slurry repair.
Okay, yeah, no, we're happy to, get our oil changes. We just, once in a while, we need some spark plugs and, So, okay, I don't want to belabor that too much. Were there any other questions about this?
Yes, if there were, yeah, I went to that streets.sandiego.gov and yeah, there's one section of Aquarius that's missing and needs to be redone. So how do we let the city know that something that should be scheduled for overlay, like Jeff was mentioning earlier, is just slipped through the cracks? And now there's lots of cracks in the street. So how do we correct that?
One option that you have if you want to bring any type of concern to the city's awareness is using the Get It Done app. If you have specific concerns on a roadway that you believe is not captured through the information on sandiegostreets.gov, the Get It Done app is a way for you to submit that information. It goes to the transportation department, who could then analyze your concern and based on that, take the appropriate action. So I would encourage you using that avenue, not only for streets, but any other type of concerns in the right of way. That is a useful tool for the residents.
And Ralph, so to echo that point, I mean, as you know, we come to you all and others consistently when our budget priority memos are being developed, asking for what streets you want done, what need to be done. That way there's notice of that and it's recorded with our memos about what those are all done. Obviously, being blunt, we're never going to do all the streets all the time in one given year. It's a process. It takes time to come back to us and get the money invested in the communities. But at least we're developing a record of what those priorities are, which the mayor's office and his team would obviously look at as well too, in coordination with other data points to figure out where they're going to allocate funding to what streets.
Yeah, it does seem like some of them are just totally forgotten, and I don't know. The Get It Done app, maybe someone would pay attention, but like Antrim and Port Royale have been reported many times. They've been on every list we've ever turned in. You in fact, Chris, had written to the mayor and said, please do these roads.
I
appreciate
yeah,
it.
and I mean, we're never going to do all of the roads all at one time. I mean, I'm the first to admit that. I mean, we as Michaela mentioned, District 6 got the most amount of money of the Sexy Streets Initiative, the allocation. So, I mean, I have no answer that's going to appease everyone and say that this street's going to get done at this time or that street's going to get done at that time. It's a process. It's going to take a lot of time, and you got to remember that there was also 2 decades of past councils going through the pension scandal, Enron by the Sea, being out of the bond market. I mean, those are dollars that were not being invested into streets. So it's always going to be a catch-up game until that point that we actually do catch up. But and I'm also competing with 8 other council districts for a pot of money. And I can argue, and I've seen the list of all the streets that are being done through the entirety of the city. There's a lot in District 6. There's a lot in Mira Mesa versus some of the communities as well too. And so, they're having these same conversations in other communities across the city as well too.
Okay, well, I do appreciate your work getting this one done. So there are a couple more questions, Andrew.
Yes, thank you all for your presentation. My question is in regard to the areas, like, for example, a common street to the west of Montango has been slurry sealed probably 10 times since I've lived there since 2016 in that neighborhood. But the streets of Tyrolean Way, Tyrolean Road, where they've had the gas lines replaced, those roads are pretty bad, and they have not been slurry sealed since I've lived there since 2016. And so can someone, I don't know, how do I find out, like, when those streets are going to be slurry sealed or replaced or whatever? Going to this website here that Chun put up, would that be the best place to get that information? Or are the gas lines finished there? Or when, it seems like there hasn't been construction for the last 2 months there, but every once in a while you still see their street signs parked on the road.
I'm not familiar with the project, but if you want to email us, chriskate@sandiego.gov, and we can get information for you and determine any timelines that may exist. And if not, that's something that we will ask for when we do our budget party memo, which is going to start in September.
Can you please repeat that, Chris? I'm sorry.
It's just chriskate@sandiego.gov, CHRISCATE@sandiego.gov.
Thank you.
Okay, so for most of these, there is no timeline, right, Chris? I mean, there's no list that says even this street's to be overlaid in 2030 or 2040. It just doesn't exist.
Oh, correct. Yeah, no, and I would go far as say that I would never want that promised as well too, because of this, what we've, interacted with undergrounding, which is the same issue. Telling someone that they're going to underground in 2050, I think isn't the best course of action, and data points change as well too. So every year as we allocate funding to different group numbers, it's kind of mentioned earlier by Luis, a list is determined and then sent out of what streets are going to be done based on those group numbers. And then we try to project out to the community when those are going to happen as well too. Okay. And again, all this is going to change as well too, based on the new condition assessment that we're currently in progress in doing as well too, which will be additional data points to determine if maybe the streets in Mira Mesa are worse off than what we all think versus other communities. More funding potentially come in that realm as well too.
Okay, are there any other questions? Tommy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. I don't mean to overly belabor the point, but just going back to the root question that you had asked Mr. Shar earlier, and the same thing that Andrew basically said as well. You mentioned Antrim, Jeff. I think Andrew mentioned Tyrolean and Berrynoll. These are streets that have been in poor condition for some time. We understand that there's a process of slurry sealing the streets, and that's the first step, and that's good. And I don't think anyone here would argue that that's really been the issue. The issue is a matter of practice in getting those streets that have to get that second layer of attention and having that attention being applied, because that's where we're seeing the problem. And I realize that under strong mayor, a lot of this has gone under the mayor's column right now, and that's where a lot of those discussions have to happen, and that's where the action has to happen. But I think that Mr. Stevens and Mr. Miklusiak's point is appropriate, and that is there has to be a greater awareness and greater movement from those streets going from simply being slurry sealed to that second stage of potential resurfacing with the streets we mentioned and about 3 dozen others here in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for the presentation. Chris, I really do appreciate your work on this. I know you've been trying to get the money for this for at least 6 years, if not 8, that you've been in office, and that's no small effort without which this would not have happened. So thank you very much.
Appreciate that, everyone, and this won't be the last you hear of this, and so we fully intend to to come back and give additional updates. And again, thanks to our city staff for their work on this and being here late tonight. It's very much appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Chan, can you please send me your presentation?
Sure thing. And I also want to mention that my contact information is on this. If you have any question about this particular project, feel free to email me. I'll share the PowerPoint with Jeff. And also, as mentioned by Louise, there'll be an upcoming letter that's going to be sent out to a 300 feet radius to residents around this project. We are also in the process of setting up a dedicated project feature website, which we will be providing updates on a more regular basis once that site is running. Also, as mentioned, there will be community liaison in the future and also virtual workshop to available for the residents to learn more about this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, can you unshare your screen? Okay, can you unshare your screen? There we go. Okay. All right, we'll go on to elected officials reports. Is there anyone here from Congressman Peters' office? I didn't see Priscilla. So I think probably not. California Senate. I did see Diana Lara, I believe. Are you still here?
Hi, Jeff. I'm still here.
Proceed.
Hi, everyone. Diana Lara from Senator Tony Atkins' office. The senator is back in Sacramento finishing legislative session, and I wanted to give a quick recap of the budget for Mira Mesa. There was $3 million allocated to the Olive Grove Community Park upgrades, which the senator was able to help allocate with the rest of the San Diego delegation working together. So we're very excited that the park is going to get those upgrades. And I could come on another time and give a more budget items in depth if you'd like, or I can send an email out. And as always, we are assisting folks still with EDD and DMV issues and then any other state related. Our office does remain closed to the public, but we are moving and our building will be torn down. So we'll be moving to another state-owned building. Once we have the date and move date, I will send out an email to the group. But you can always reach us via phone, email, Zoom.
What was the park that you mentioned? You said Olive Grove Park? Where's that?
Yes. Olive Grove, it may not be, it says D6 upgrade. So that may not be in Mira Mesa. I apologize.
Yeah, we used to have an Olive Grove out in the western part of the community.
Let me see.
Mira Mesa Boulevard.
It's Claremont.
Claremont, okay.
My apologies.
That's okay. Okay, thank you very much. I don't see Rob here. Amanda Berry, I think I saw you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Berry, she, her, and I am representing County Supervisor Tara Lawson-Reamer this evening. Good to see you all. I have a couple of updates. The two, some of you may have heard before, but they're really important numbers. When somebody's in a crisis, we have 911 that we all know to call, but we have a new number to call when somebody is in mental health crisis, and that number is 988. That's for folks who are experiencing thoughts of suicide, they're in a mental health crisis, they have a drug or alcohol substance use disorder. They can call or text 988 and get help for themselves or for a loved one. Anybody who calls that number, that 988 number, they're going to be connected with a trained counselor who can help them and connect them with local services. That number also gets folks connected to the mobile crisis response teams, which we've talked a lot about. And it's all part of a nationwide rollout too. So, you know, folks in other jurisdictions, they might be seeing it in their cities and counties soon. It is available 24/7, so 988. And then the other thing I want to share is that there's been 130 known cases of monkeypox in the region. And as that number increases, the county and our medical professionals are sharing information on risk, prevention, treatment, and vaccination. The new totals are posted every week on the county's website. And if folks want more information, they can call 211, and that's where you can get more information about monkeypox. If somebody believes that they have been in contact with somebody or are looking for vaccination or treatment, it's best to contact your medical provider. But 211 is where you can get more information, and we're getting new supplies of vaccinations that are coming in. The question often is, how do you know if you're going to be at risk? It's primarily spread by skin-to-skin contact with sores, scabs, or bodily fluids of someone who has monkeypox. And it can be spread by anyone in any community. And at this time right now, monkeypox is primarily spreading in the male, gay, bisexual, and men who have sex with men population. And we're working with community partners to make sure that we get the word out about education and vaccination and risk. It's not a sexually transmitted infection. It really can impact anyone. And there's a number, if you want to text COSD monkeypox to 468-311, you can get text updates like we did for COVID, and I'll put that information in the chat. And if anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer them, but great to see you all this evening.
Do we have questions for Amanda tonight? Okay, thank you very much. Michaela, for the mayor's office.
Good evening, everybody. Michaela Volk from Mayor Todd Gloria's office. I did email Jeff my kind of more lengthy report for the board members to review when you have time. A couple of big items. Mayor and City Council did approve our climate action plan, as well as Build Better SD. And then upcoming, we have our housing action package 2.0. So each of those items, there's more bullets to review. In terms of some Mira Mesa updates, it looks like Barry had popped off, but we are keeping tabs and are having monthly meetings with different property management property managers in Mira Mesa about the car meets that are happening, and staying in touch with Northeastern Division and proactively aware. There are also a group of residents near the pedestrian bridge that have had some concerns about homeless individuals, behavioral health concerns. So it's great that Amanda mentioned 988, making them aware, but also there was a request to close down the pedestrian bridge. I made it clear that closing the bridge or demolishing the bridge isn't going to solve the homeless problem on that bridge. It's really the behavioral health, and it's the outreach to try to get that individual into shelter and housing. But looking to find ways where we could partner with the community on revitalizing that bridge, whether it be a community garden or some ideas that the neighbors may have. So just wanted to mention those local highlights. But if anybody has any other questions, I'm available as always via email, via phone.
Question from Michaela. So I have one, not anything you mentioned, but I noticed that the mayor the other day made a comment that we need to keep residential development away from industrial development. But here in Mira Mesa, the planning department is proposing to do exactly that, to put high density residential housing in the middle of the Serrano Mesa prime industrial area. So I'm just wondering under what conditions that applies.
I don't know what specific comment that was made under. I think our housing action plan actually encourages it. So maybe it had been misconstrued in terms of what he said. I know Mira Mesa, especially Miramar, has been very vocal of trying to rezone those industrial areas into housing. So maybe I can look into that a little bit more, what the context was.
Thank you. Any other questions for Michaela? I did send out your report to the whole planning group, so
Thanks, Jeff.
everyone can review that. Okay, thank you very much. Council District 5, Denise is still here, I believe.
Hello, everyone. This is Denise. Sorry, I'm sick. I have a cold, so my voice is kind of rough. But not too much update from District 6. We have just ended the CPPS application. So currently our office is reviewing all the applicants, making sure everyone gets a fair share of the funding. And if you have any questions with the Gold Coast that you missed today, feel free to email me and I will send it to the appropriate departments that can answer those questions. And also thankful for the city staff that was in attendance today. Thank you also for Michaela. We've been working together with the homeless situation, like she mentioned at the bridge, and with Barry and the constituents who live by that area. Please let us know and keep us updated on anything that's happening on that area. We're trying our best to deal with it, and also encourage everyone to keep using Get It Done to help us keep track of the city issues nationwide, especially in District 6. That's it from me.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, then I'm gonna go on to I moved by my chairman's report earlier since we had a busy agenda, but I do have a few things. So one of the things I put all of the information I had relevant to tonight's agenda item on a web page. Do people find that useful? So it takes a bit of work.
I did this as well. It was very useful. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
I'll try to continue doing that, especially when we've got as much as we have here. Okay, mail. Notice of utility relocations prior to reconstruction of Parkville and Gold Coast. We heard all about that tonight. Notice of a hearing with a hearing officer on the conditional use permit for a wireless communication facility located at 7380 Calle Cristobal. That one we approved in June. Notice of approval of a neighborhood use permit for a proposed comprehensive sign program for the Three Roots development. We reviewed that earlier and had some issues with it. I don't know whether they made any changes or not. There's a report on the city bicycle program, including a list of streets for slurry sealing and the bike lanes that are affected. Notice of a storm drain replacement near Dowdy Drive. Report to a hearing officer of non-residential subdivision of 2 parcel lots into 3 parcel lots and construction of 4 light industrial warehouse buildings on Nancy Ridge Drive. We reviewed that in April of 2019 and approved it. And then also the plans for the T-Mobile at Residence Inn that we saw tonight. So that's what I've got. If anyone wants any of those things, let me know and I will forward them to you. I'll go on to, well, let's see, are there any announcements tonight?
Yeah, Jeff, I have 2 announcements. One is the street fair is October 1st.
Correct.
And the air show is on this year, September 23, 24, 25. And we are being requested to buy more beer because it supports the Marines that are over there.
You mean buy more mirror at the air show?
Of course, at the air show.
Tommy?
I just want to make a couple of remarks about my my campaign, if I could, Mr. Chair. Hi, everyone. Tommy Howe, running for San Diego City Council here in District 6 and Mira Mesa, County Planning Commissioner for this area in the county in District 3. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. First of all, Denise, I hope you're feeling better, and I'm glad to hear that you and Michaela were addressing some of the concerns about not only the pedestrian bridge over at Black Mountain, but also regarding the street racing issue. I'm glad to hear that you were talking with some of our local Northeast Division officers about that. Some concerns just about the Mira Mesa community plan update. And I know this has been a long-term conversation that's been going on. the city apparently wants to increase the population here by apparently 42%. That's an awful lot of people, and we really would love to have some more details as to exactly where you want to put them, although we've had some ideas over the last couple of years. But considering the fact that our roads are in rather poor shape and we don't really have effective transit around here, and they're talking about taking lanes off of Mira Mesa Boulevard, it's a real dubious proposition. So I think we'd like a lot more specific detail about what's being planned with that. Certainly, if you're trying to increase the population and take away lanes off the road, that doesn't sound like two things that go together particularly well. Ash Street settlement, we weren't particularly in favor of that. We thought that was we should have abided by the city attorney's recommendations. Was concerned that some of that money would have affected the Gold Coast CIP. Apparently it's not. That's good news. Very, very pleased to see we've got some progress on Gold Coast that we heard about tonight. But of course, I am concerned that some of that money is going to be coming from parks funds and from road funds. And that may not necessarily affect Gold Coast and Parkdale, but that could very much affect parks and roads here in Mira Mesa and elsewhere around the district. So that's a concern as well. Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at the street fair on October the 1st. Website is tommyhough.com, TOMMYHOUGH.com. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. Good seeing everyone.
Thank you, Tommy. Any other announcements? All right, in case we'll go on to CPC report. CPC elected Andrea Schlageter as chair. Barry Schultz, who had been the other candidate for chair, got a new job as financial advisor for National City. I may not have that right. At any rate, he got some important job in National City, so he withdrew his candidacy. The other officers are Nick Reed as vice chair and Jim Barras as secretary. Pam, do you have anything for Penasquitos Canyon?
Oh, I was not able to attend the last Penasquitos Canyon Preserve Citizens Advisory Committee meeting. Is Craig here?
Craig is here.
Craig, can you report on it?
Yes, hello. Well, hopefully, Pam, you were reelected as the treasurer.
Right, okay, that's
Okay.
right, because you had asked me if I was willing, and I said yes, indeed, so
Okay.
great. Okay.
That's probably the biggest thing. The rest of it was mostly about plants and how to grow oak trees and things like that. So not necessarily relative to this group, but yeah, it was probably the biggest thing was they reelected the positions on the group. So Pam was reelected as treasurer.
Excellent.
All right. Is there any other business tonight? It's been kind of a long meeting. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with it. Hearing no other business, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Night.
A pleasure.
Good seeing everyone.